Hello, my friends, and welcome to Kitsune Readings, where your questions find answers.
Hello everyone, Ryu here. Today we're going to talk about Donkey Kong Land on the Game Boy. Now, you'll see it says Banana Yellow Game Pack included. So, what that meant was that the game cartridge itself for Donkey Kong Land came as a yellow cartridge. Now, what they achieved with this game was remarkable. They got this to have great sound for the Game Boy. They also sort of gave it pre-rendered 3D models, which was really hard to do. This game was created by Rare. The programmer was Paul Machakek, I can't pronounce his name. But he convinced Tim Stamper that Donkey Kong Land should be an original adventure. Rather than a direct port of the Super Nintendo one, which was Donkey Kong Country. So it has unique bosses and enemies, and you can see how well they did with the screen and monochrome type graphics that the Game Boy had. Andrew Collard was the lead designer. He did the layouts that distinguished a handheld game from its console counterpart. One of Nintendo's biggest mistakes was probably selling Rare to Microsoft. David Wise and Graham Norgate made the music for this, and the artist was Dean Smith. He took the high-end advanced computer modeling graphics and converted them into sprites that could still be readable on the Game Boy's small screen. What they achieved with this was a massive risk for Rare, because they used expensive silicon graphic workstations which created the pre-rendered 3D models for both Donkey Kong Land and Country. Huge risk, but highly successful. I'm glad you can play this on the Game Boy app today. Now, this game has unique content and is actually a new adventure. Completely separate from... Well, not completely separate, I guess, but it's a new adventure with new levels and stuff from the Super Nintendo version. Now, they do say that the screen is very cluttered, actually. But I don't think so. I mean, I think it looks beautiful for what it is. I would recommend playing this game today if you haven't experienced the Donkey Kong Country series before. Or in this case, the Donkey Kong Land Game Boy series. All three of these are playable on the Game Boy app, by the way. You would save your game by collecting the Kong letters in the level, and then completing the level. Of course, today we don't have to do that because we can just create a save state if you're playing it on the Switch app. If you have a Switch, I recommend getting the online subscription, particularly if you like retro games. Oh, look at that, we found the secret. The music is amazing. And I think the game itself is also amazing. Only the ostrich and the rhino animal companions appear in this version. There's a few other ones that appear in the SNES version or Super Nintendo version. Whoops. You got Diddy. Whoop. You know, the original creator of the Donkey Kong arcade game and the Donkey Kong game itself was a consultant on the Donkey Kong series Donkey Kong Country series made by Rare. It's actually really cool. I like the overworld map. Very highly detailed game graphically for the Game Boy especially. Now if you press select, you can switch between Diddy and Donkey Kong. Donkey Kong rolls and Diddy does more of a cartwheel. This is quite the amazing accomplishment for a Game Boy game. Some people say it's very difficult, but I don't think so. I guess it is in some ways. I think it's a great platforming game. Some of the jumps can be difficult, of course. Alright, we got Diddy back. Oh, wrecked. Oof, almost didn't make that jump. Alright, we got 2 of the letters. One more. One of the best looking Game Boy games out there today. Ooh, wrecked. Oh. Oh man, I will never make that jump. Apparently it's easier to make the jumps with Diddy Kong. Oof. Oh, terrible. Oh, good thing we had Diddy with us. Oh, that was horrible. Don't worry, we'll get past this part eventually. Oh. Alright, we're running low on lives, so we'll just create a suspend point here. Ah, that was horrible. Cliffs and difficult jumps are the bane of my existence. This is where save scumming comes in. There we go. Despite the Game Boy's limitations, this is a beautiful game. Oh man, I gotta master these jumps. Or I can just walk straight off the edge and accomplish nothing. Despite my inability to clear this level, the game is still really good and worth playing today. Getting past jumps like that are the bane of my existence. Ah, crap. Or I can just bounce off the cliff. There we go. Whoop. Oh, right. Now I'm just gonna save right at that one point. So we can just try infinitely. Save scumming for the win. Now we don't have to go through all of that mess again. The trick is to not want to banana collect. You just want to jump and go over like that. Yay, we made it. Finally got past that one level. You know? And that was level 2. Thankfully, we can just make a suspend point. Now, you can re-enter the levels, I believe, if you want to play them again. Start and select, of course, will exit the level if you've already cleared it, much like in the Mario games. The amazing job they did on this blows my mind even today. You know, some games were designed to be so difficult because obviously they didn't want you to like beat the game right away and just be done with it. Oh man, that means I've gotta bounce onto the guy. And then bounce over. We'll create a suspend point here. So we can just continue from this point. In case we fail. There we go. We'll create another suspend point, just in case. Don't want to go through that again. And we got the Kong letters. Ooh. We can save the game. Look at that, we're the pirate ship. Oh, right. Okay, I have a new idea. There we go. That's how you deal with that. In the original Donkey Kong Country, they stole Kong's banana hoard, and he's trying to get it back. And this one, I think they got a challenge from Cranky Kong to play in an 8-bit adventure rather than a 16-bit one. I could probably go down there and get those items, but I don't want to. Oof. Oh, I'm supposed to grab the barrel and hit that thing. Well, I don't have to do that, I guess, but it would certainly help out if I did. Oh, right. But anyway, that's Donkey Kong Land. Fun game. I would recommend playing it today. This was on the Game Boy app on the Nintendo Switch. The save state feature is awesome. You know, back in the day we didn't have that. And it made beating games much harder. We didn't have saves. In the classic gaming days, we just had to beat the whole game in one shot. Much more difficult than trying to beat games today where you can constantly save on a whim. But anyway, that's all the time I have for today, my friends. Thank you for being here and watching the video. I appreciate all of you. You can and you will achieve your dreams, my friends. I believe in you. Have a great day.